so our Prime Minister, he's making, he's made this announcement about Canada's climate commitments, and I'm a little skeptical. I'm skeptical of him for a lot of reasons, but I'm skeptical of Canada's commitment to climate amelioration, to less pollution, because we love pollution. I mean, we worship pollution. So I'm just gonna do this, and I haven't watched this yet, so this is gonna be my first reaction to this video, and I'm just gonna go ahead and comment on on whether he says anything substantive, because what I'm looking for is something that is not relative, something that's not vague, something that is absolute, some actual material commitment with real specifications.
Our government is making climate change a top priority, and our actions will be based
That means nothing.
On 5 principles.
He's implying a false sense of organization by listing off some sort of array.
First, we will act based on the best scientific evidence.
That's best, so that's subjective, so that's meaningless.
And advice. Second, we will support and implement policies that contribute to the development of a low-carbon economy, and this will include carbon pricing.
Right, okay, so that he said one substantive thing in there, so that's something. His everything that he just said, except for the thing about carbon pricing, is you can just ignore it. It's meaningless. It's not substantive. It's just, he's just saying, like, we're gonna do stuff. We're gonna go ahead and do stuff. The carbon pricing thing, though, their scheme for carbon pricing is, I think, pretty much a straightforward cap and trade thing, which is kind of the best way to pretend to do something while allowing corporations to continue to pollute as much as they want, if not more, or just sort of like set some kind of controls on it, but it doesn't actually imply a fix. So we'll see if that's what he's suggesting.
Third,
I guess he's just going to be vague about it, so that's probably what it means. So basically what he just said means we could either implement something that actually makes pollution more expensive and solve the problem, and it could be a really good solution, or it could be a total bait and switch window dressing piece of bullshit, that's what Canada does, that's what this government does, so that's what they'll probably do.
And very importantly, we will work with our provinces, territories, cities, and Indigenous leaders who are taking a leadership role on climate change.
So that also means nothing, because like it's awesome to say, but working with is a completely subjective, vague term. So, I mean, I don't know what they mean by working with when, like, they'd have to define working with in a new way. He'd have to say, we're going to work with them in a new way. And that would have some meaning, but just say working with just doesn't mean anything.
Indigenous peoples have known for thousands of years how to care for our planet. The rest of us have a lot to learn and no time to waste. But
I mean, that's nice that he said that. That's some good constructive lip service. It kind of, I mean, if he cared, I'm sure he would say something about the 13 Indigenous grandmothers or some other actual meaningful, like, we're going to do something about how good they are at preserving the environment or something like that. And of course he's not mentioning anything about how there's no real Indigenous representation at the climate summit. There's no real female representation either. So, well, except for our one delegate, maybe a couple other women, maybe.
They are not alone. Canadian cities have also long been leaders in the fight to create clean growth and combat climate change.
That's hilarious.
There's a lot.
That's fucking hilarious, dude. That's like, so I guess he doesn't expect or think he needs credibility, because our cities have been total laggards when it comes to reducing their energy impact. So I guess that's the part of the speech where he's like, I don't need credibility. I'm Trudeau.
We, in other orders of government, can learn from our cities. Fourth, we will help the developing world tackle the challenges of climate change.
That's hilarious as well. It's hilarious.
Many of the world's most vulnerable
and completely non-substantive. Of course, there's help means practically nothing. It could mean anything from we will give you shitty advice that has never worked for anybody, which is something that we like to do, to we will actually go and help you implement solutions. And it probably means something along the lines of like, we're going to tell you about all the success we had replacing our light bulbs with with compact fluorescents. It'll probably be something like that. They'll be like, we can implement great solutions here, like recycling.
vulnerable countries have done little to contribute to the problem, but face the most significant consequences.
That's nice of you to say.
And all countries deserve the right to develop, and this development can and should be based on access to clean energy technologies.
I mean, I guess that's kind of a statement. He's like, we want to give, I guess that's his way of giving some consent to developing nations to continue to pollute more for a while, because we can pretend that they don't have the solutions that they need or something like that. So he's like, everybody deserves to develop. So by development he means, pollution. So I guess that's what he's saying, is that we are, like, Canada's willing to get a head start because we've been so bad in the past, and so should the States. That's probably what that means. But of course, vague. It's not substantive.
Finally, we view climate change not just as the challenge it is, but also as a historic opportunity.
That's just bullshit.
An opportunity to build a sustainable economy based on clean technology, on green infrastructure, and on green jobs.
I guess that's not completely a bullshit point, but it is very boring.
We will not sacrifice growth. We will create growth.
Fuck. That sucks. That totally sucks. They're not... Oh, man. So they're not going to sacrifice growth. He's going to create growth. So, since growth isn't sustainable... So not only is it not substantive, not only there's no commitments in there, but it's also kind of a good indication of, if you read between the lines, it's kind of a good indication of, like, when a politician wants to say, we're going to do business as usual and fuck y'all, this is basically the speech that they make. So I guess he's just kind of towing the party line of the rest of the countries, which is kind of like, yeah, we need to do stuff, we need to do stuff, we need to do stuff, we should do stuff. And like, oh, we're gonna do some stuff in our country, so you better do some stuff too. You gonna do some stuff? Yeah, we're gonna do some stuff. That's what the dialogue is. So it's useless.